Okay. So, let's see. What have I got? Where did I go? Reference photos. That's what I wanted. There we go. Hello, welcome. My little stream viewer here isn't updating super effectively, but it seems like I've got a few viewers here. Welcome, I hope you can hear me. Hi, can you hear me? Can anyone hear me right now? How is my sound? Hello, I just need to check whether I'm muted. Because it's been very quiet here. Somewhat concerned. Hi, can you hear me? Okay, audio is great. Perfect. That's fantastic. Thank you. Does the audio include the drag racing from outside? I am. Yeah. Had a nasty few weeks, but it does seem to be mostly better. Well. The neighborhood is nice enough, but yeah, some downsides. Sorry, I'll be a little quiet while having dinner. That's okay. I am a little bit quiet myself. Don't. Like the current progress of my painting. Oh, I think you might also want to see here. I'll show you. I finished this a few days ago. So it ended up going a little bit of a different direction than I originally intended. But I like it. Let's see. Do Sorry, I'm being super quiet. I'm happy to chat about whatever. I'm just, yeah, apparently just a little bit quiet by default. To answer questions about this piece or other stuff. All good. Just dropping my hand into let's see. This should also be quite a bit darker down here. I'm gonna darken this up. So I'm trying to get some really strong forced perspective in here. So get this front bit quite dark and contrasty. And then it'll get more faded out as it drops back further. Sorry, my chair is super creaky as well. I don't know what to do with these things. And I want to lighten some of this stuff up. Lift this back up. Oh, look at that. Very nice. And if I can get some more dark sections in here, dark sections in there, dark sections all around in here and there. I just do this. look, we've got new people. Hello, hello again. Sorry, one moment. I just need to go fetch myself some water. I'll be right back. Now I start to see how this tree branch is. Yeah, so it's it's a very oblique view where like the tree branch is going into the frame and then it sort of zigzags, like there's a jog in it. It might be a little bit clearer if I work in here a little bit. And connect these bits. Because there's like a... I mean, mind you, part of the fun of this shot is that it's a little bit... It's a very odd little constrained look. So it is sort of, I mean, I'm trying to play with like this edge of like where hyperrealism turns into this abstract, where I'm playing with these realistic representations of like little mosses and stuff, but it's just turned into a sort of abstract pattern. What I learn while talking about these things and while writing grant applications and artist statements is that I have way too much time to think, and too much time to myself. It's always very interesting when you mix two different styles, like realism with abstract. Yeah, I think a lot of the fun in art, you know, what are you contributing, is not just sticking to one. You know, you don't have to stick to one style, one school of thought, just combining things and playing and seeing what you can do. Then in here, there is actually, this goes back all the way to there. Oh, it's too light. Let's go with some darker shadow. Come on, more. More. Not enough. More. Okay, I need to stop dipping my hand back into where I've painted. Hi Stephen, how are you? Oh. you might also want to see. I'll show you what I finished earlier this week. So I think the last stream I did a couple weeks ago, I was just doing inking for this. I ended up changing my mind. I was originally going to do something like do the needles and some of the background in graphite, or possibly like whatever. I changed my mind a little bit about how I was approaching this, but I quite like the final effect. So this is now off to the city. Took a picture of it and sent it off to the city, so that's going to be on my promotional materials for the show in November. Thank you. I have it listed on my website. You can buy it. I was going to mention the giant one that I sort of blew you off. You asked about buying it. It is in the thousands, but I do also have full-size 22 by 30 prints of that large Japanese silk lilac piece you liked, and those are relatively affordable. And as soon as I reactivate my website, you can buy those too. If only the shipping wasn't so expensive. Yeah, well, that's the other issue with the giant original, is that it's on panel and it comes framed. So shipping giant originals across the ocean is very expensive. Fortunately, the prints, they can be shipped in a roll. Now you then have to worry about how you're going to go about framing, which is the advantage of originals. These smaller ones are a little easier. But yeah. I've done a bunch of littler pieces recently. It's been nice. I feel like I'd been pushing myself to do a lot of like really huge 22 by 30 and larger pieces, and it gets a little overwhelming. It's easier to tackle these little things just mentally, like figuring out. I do want to focus a lot on composition. Like I feel like that's where I can really grow, where you know, I'm looking at my pieces from the past few years that like some of them really the composition is not great, where like my painting skills are great, but my composition, you know, that still needs some work. So these smaller pieces are a great way to play with that without like all of this commitment to a very large piece, and then there's less torturing myself about like, oh, is this done? Where do I put more detail? And it's just having this somewhat lower commitment where I can experiment with things is has been nice. So I'm really enjoying that. Okay, where did I go? Let's go take a look at this reference again. Yeah, and then we're gonna take a little bit more here. And there. And then I need to put a little bit more shadow in here. Yesterday I did my initial swatches of my new studio palette. It may turn out to be a multi-month project with several panels and colored duo paintings in a large sketchbook. That's really cool. One thing I've been doing is I decided to shuffle my palettes a little. So if you, Gabbert, you're on my Patreon, so you've seen this. Here, I'll grab. I caved and I bought this tin. This is one of the Paul Rubens sets, and it claimed to have all sorts of discontinued pigments in it, plus it comes in this really pretty rainbow tin. So I bought it, but the thing is, I did paint actually that other, that pine piece, in using this set, but then it is not my favorite selection, and I did want to still keep it together. So then I decided that it was time to just shuffle all of my palettes and anyway, I wanted to put stuff that I would like to use more in tins that I like more, so I'm a real, I break rules. So this is now mostly Roman Schmal because that's what I have a lot of, and it includes most of my Wild Curiosity palette, although I swapped out the, of all things, I swapped out the quinacridone magenta for a different quinacridone magenta that is an experimental paint that I like a lot more, that I wish I could talk about more, but I'm under orders not to. So there's a different quinacridone magenta. Other than that, it's the Wild Curiosity palette. And then there's a super secret thing in there. And then it's got a few other things from other brands that I just wanted to have, and this is like my, I guess, on the go studio palette. Where like it's got a lot of different paints. And actually I should refill this. Yeah, it's pretty. But then I also shuffled other palettes. Like I just decided to play musical chairs with my palettes. Where I moved the other extended version of my Wild Curiosity palette. The other extended version I switched into here. I also switched some other stuff in here. So yeah, now I've got this. That's in this little Schminko rainbow tin because I really like my rainbow tins. So I would rather have the things that I like most in the rainbow tins so that I use them more. And then in here, I haven't fully decided what I'm doing with the rest of this, but I have my Rosa Gallery pans that it turns out fit perfectly in the middle row of one of these. So that's a fun fact. And I had 11 Rosa Gallery pans, and it turns out 11 fit just perfectly in one of these. It's so good. I also still have one more of those giant ceramic color wheel palettes. I have one that I've been using in my home studio, and then I have a second one that I don't know what I want to do with. Initially, I planned to have the same palettes in my home studio and the co-op studio. So just like do another copy of it. But I think I'm past that silly obsession because it doesn't actually matter. I don't need exactly the same palette in two places. So I kind of like to do something different with it. But it's been sitting for literally years. So if somebody has a suggestion about how to arrange a gigantic color wheel palette, a gigantic ceramic color wheel palette, it is the sort of thing where it's actually absurd that I have two. And I have half of mine to sell it, but the truth is, it's giant and ceramic, so the shipping on it is going to be insane. So it probably doesn't make sense to sell. So I guess I'll just use it. I love how dirty. Yeah, I don't clean my palettes. Every so often I'll like pull things out and run them underwater, but I just paint. Every so often I'll wipe something up if I need a clearer color, but I can't be bothered. Okay, so then this can be here, and we can do there. Yep. That's not quite what I wanted. Did want a little bit more in here. Anyway, we'll see how much I can get done today. I think I've got until about, let's see. You think I can finish this in a couple hours? That'd be really cool. It seems unlikely, honestly, and I should maybe not disappoint myself that way. Does anyone else do this? Like, I'm just like, I guess it's just ADHD. I'm bad at estimating how long things are going to take me. The other factor with these pieces is that I am realizing that I am taking too long on pieces, and part of that, there's two factors there. So part of it, actually there's three factors. One of them is just that I'm going to be like automatically just going to be slower whenever I'm doing something on stream. And that part is fine, because then, you know, I count the time that I would take if I wasn't streaming, because, you know, I choose to stream for other business reasons. And so when I'm pricing my work, I should not be really taking into account the time that I'm, you know, being distracted because I'm showing other things on stream and I'm chatting and I'm, you know, that's not the time that a piece takes. So in figuring out my pricing, it's basically like I have a minimum price per hour that I want to get out of things. And now I recognize that there are other, there's overheads as well as there's costs associated with all sorts of things that don't get factored into that, like the costs associated with exhibitions, even paid exhibitions, like what I'm doing, like there are extra costs that come with that. So the pay for the exhibition will not cover all of the costs of everything that is involved in getting work ready for exhibition. And then, you know, I have my assistant who handles stuff. There's time spent on applications that obviously, applications and writing artist statements and all sorts of things that aren't factored into the time I spend painting. And so the way I've tried to conceive of my work is that the time spent painting specifically, I work out to the price of the original pieces, and then I have other income streams like prints and cards and classes and online income and what have you that then cover those extra costs, ideally. Now the problem is, in the past couple years, I have been extremely slow at painting. Because my brain has been slowed down, and so it's, you know, there is a mental exertion to painting as well as a physical exertion, and with chronic health issues, I've just been much slower than I would like to be. So I'm trying to sort of adjust, like, okay, well, if I want to be paid a reasonable wage, I should be adjusting for like what I would be painting, you know, in a healthy state, ish. So that's been my trying to figure out how much time I take on things. It is hard to measure because there's so many other things that get in the way. Like I'm painting this on stream. Anyway, I do think that there is probably only a couple hours worth of work left to do on this piece. However, I'm not sure that it's a couple hours of work left to do on stream. So we'll see. I would love to finish this today. I suspect that it's actually not going to be finished today. But I suppose we will see. And if I can finish it today, that will be a huge win. So we'll see what I can do. The show I'm doing in November is a public gallery at City Hall. So the way that's structured, they're going to exhibit it for 2 months. They will handle any sales that happen, although I'm not super expecting this to be a big sales sort of event. But then I'm also looking at bringing some of these pieces to something like an art fair where it really is more of a sales-focused event rather than like a public exhibition. It's less of a museum, more of a people buying things. If I want clean yellow or something, I will squeeze a bit of fresh paint out. Yes, I've been known to do that, although that is actually one of the reasons why I prefer to work in full pans or bigger wells, and I try to let them dry. Like, I find that contaminated yellows are actually a huge problem if you have wet paint. Like, if it's sticky and you start getting paint like mixed into it, that's where you get like really polluted yellows. These yellows are polluted right now, but because this is just a pan, it's only the surface that's really polluted. So if I take this and I go, okay, well, I'm just going to take a brush and I'm going to clean off the top. So what I would tend to do is just clean off the top here. There we go. And then I clean off the top here. And then if I just scrub up the top layer of junk off this, then I have something that's much closer to a clean yellow. Now the truth is, a lot of these things look worse in the pan than they do on paper as well, so it's also just not as much of an issue. I take a long time to finish things, but only a few spots of paint go on, usually. Mostly it is a lot of looking. Yes, and so this is part of why I actually have often more than one piece going at a time, because I will start working on a piece, I'll get about 3/4 of the way, and then from that point on, my process is a lot of just like looking at it at various distances and squinting, and I find that I can work a little bit more efficiently if while I'm doing that, while I'm processing like what else does this piece need, that I'm actually working on something else, and then I just keep on going back. And that is also part of why my palettes are usually a complete disaster, because there is no break in between, because I'm working on the next piece while I'm still working on the first piece, and so there's no, it's not like, oh, here's a fresh piece and I'm going to be using a completely different palette, I'll wash it. That happens actually relatively rarely. Most of the time I'm using, either I've got 2 palettes going in parallel, or sometimes I'm working out of the same palette for 2 different pieces. I like to look at things in the evening without much light, kind of like squinting, I guess. Yeah, I mean, my light changes. I also sometimes switch things from like my home studio to my other studio, to my co-op studio. I'll move things around. So things can sit on an easel for months, years. Especially bigger pieces. Smaller pieces, years is not so common. But certainly these are like, you know, this has been, I started this like maybe a month ago. let's see. If I scrub this over here, can I get, yeah. Right. More scrubby, 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 scrubby. I'm going to take a little bit more here. Let's try to get that. Okay, that'll work. So if I take this. Yeah, I probably drive my studio mates crazy too with my like, stand up, go, stand away from my piece, stand up closer, stand away from my piece. Anyway, yes, I do find that having more things on the go helps me with that. You know, saves me some time versus like I'm just torturing myself over this one piece forever, but also it just helps me. It just allows me to like, you know, like you can be too deep in something and you're like focusing on some little area that doesn't look quite right when you just look at that one little area. Versus like you're playing with perspective and you want the whole thing to sort of tie together, and that one little area, what looks right there is not going to look right with the whole piece. So it's helpful to have that distance, and like not just like physical distance, but also mental distance because you're working on something else. But yeah, that mental exercise I've been like really slow about. And I think that there's a bunch of factors. Some of it is chronic illness. Some of it is like changing what my approach is and trying to focus on like doing more complex compositions that require more of this like playing with depth. And figuring out what details to add and what details to omit and where something needs work. And like you get better at that over time, I'm sure. But yeah, I had a bit of an issue where I was changing a lot of what I was doing, where I was shifting my focus with my paintings, and my prices went insane for a moment. And I went to a big art fair in Toronto, and I was looking at, and by that point I'd already kind of realized that like, oh, my prices are going insane partially because of illness. I've been taking so much longer with my pieces. Like, this is not actually reflective of how long something actually should take. Maybe I need to adjust this. And I went to the Toronto Outdoor Art Fair this summer and had this realization of like, no, okay, I can absolutely like, I feel like this is a great sales venue and like the prices are absolutely within the range of like what one could make a living out of, but my prices are going to stand out on the high end. So I do need to adjust things a little bit. Yeah. So that's something that's been percolating through my brain as well. Yeah, so even now I'm stepping away. You might be able to hear my voice is a little bit different. I'm stepping away from my piece so I can see what it looks like from far away, because if you're too stuck into it, you'll end up over detailing some area that's, you know, you do need a range. You do need areas that don't have the same level of detail, even if you're doing this like hyper sharpened like graphic look with like all of these little details like I do. Even still, it's a like there's still a range of like you want things to be, you want to be playing with light, you want to be playing with shadow, you want there to be areas of more or less detail. And so yeah, to do that, there's a lot of like step away, step closer, step away, step closer. There we go. Anyway, these little guys, as well as possibly a section of the pine piece that I showed earlier. I am actually, sorry, it's spruce, not pine. I am likely going to make into greeting cards. And so I'm looking at ordering those shortly. Those will be available at the show opening as well as online. So I'll have them available for the holiday season this year. It's nice to have. I really like this little square format. Like trees. When I step back, I notice things that catch the eye for better or for worse, something that nicely leads the eye and can be further developed, or seeing things that are too regular, looking like trees that are evenly spaced. Yeah, so there's like, you see a very, like, ideally you want your artwork to look good, I mean, ideally at multiple depths. Like, I like things that catch the eye and make sense at a distance, and that then when you come closer, you like there's more interest that you see as you come closer. But it's really easy to lose one or the other if you're only working up close, for example. Like if you're only working up close and then you lose track of the whole picture, and yeah, like then from far away you can end up with, I mean, in my case, it's been compositions that are just, like, objectively, like, not great. You know what? I think this part is too dark and needs to be lightened up a little and yellowed up a little. And we're gonna add some more in here. Yeah, there we go. This is really starting to shape up. And then up here I wanted some more, oh my goodness. More in here, this is gonna be there, this is gonna be there. And we'll lift it just a little. Lift that just a little. Maybe I need more water. That didn't lift the way I wanted it to. feeling exhausted. I think I'll call it a day. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Have a nice evening and a great weekend. And I will see you sometime soon. So my goal with these is if I can get these done within a couple days of work, and by a couple days I mean like realistically I'm not painting more than like 4 hours a day, so that's like an 8-hour workday painting. If I can get like one of these little guys done, then in that case I can there's still, like, these will still get coordinating frames, because the frames for all of these pieces that I've been doing are all the same wood as the subject of the piece. So there's also the cost of the frames in there, but then framed, these little guys, I'm trying to keep their prices under like $600 for a framed piece, which, yes, it's tiny, but framed piece still seems actually pretty reasonable than the like 8x10s, you know, again with the frame it's a little bit larger, deeper, and then those I can keep at like $800 or $900. I'm wondering whether I can push it even lower though, so that's my goal. Like ultimately I do want, try not to sell to like billionaires, you know, like I don't feel like art needs to be like this luxury exclusive thing, but I also want to pay myself fairly. So it's this balance, and on the one hand it's like, okay, well I realize that a lot of people aren't going to be able to afford that, so what I'm going to do is have limited edition prints and cards and what have you available at different, more accessible price points for different people. But then I'm also just trying to see, you know, while still paying myself fairly, how much I can push my own process to open this up and be able to sell at a reasonable price. So that's what I'm playing with as I'm working through this. It's thrown off a little bit due to this being done on stream. So of course I am going to be slower when I'm working on stream. I know that. Need to take that into account. I think I've been working on this for 2 streams now. 5 hours. So this will be my 3rd stream working on this piece. And I've done a tiny bit on it outside of stream, but very, very little. So if I can get this done within, let's say, 2 hours on stream plus another half hour to an hour or so off stream, then that will keep this in line so that I can get this down to, maybe even like 500, 450 bucks. The cost of the framing is also substantial as part of the issue. But then for, I do have cards that start, $5 or whatever. I'm looking at card printing options as well, and I'm thinking I might splurge on some more sustainable paper stock and working with some small businesses that I'd like to support, trying to not feed into the billionaires too much. the Canadian paper that just turned 99. There's a downloadable book on him. If you like, I can post it. Yes, please. Also, since you're a mod, you can post a link here, and you can post a link to Discord here. Hooray for everybody having hammers. How are we doing time-wise? 3:53. Not bad, not bad. Things are going good. Woohoo, thank you. Do post a link in Discord as well, please, because I'm probably not going to be able to see, don't want to have to scroll back through chat to try to find this later, so it would be really useful to have it in Discord as well. Also for the people who aren't here, because, you know, not everyone's on every live stream, and I'm sure there's people who are interested in that. Hooray for engagement. Okay, that sounds great. Thank you. Yes, Ember, wait. Yeah, we're gonna go see babies later. Yeah, do you want to see baby Eloise and baby Arthur? Yeah, in an hour or so, okay? Good girl. Yeah, you're so excited. I know, you're so happy. Well, that was a tragic mistake, because now she's just gonna keep on bothering me like, is now later? Is now later? Is now later. Yes, Amber's gonna come out with me later. But on the other hand, that will keep me moving. I may end up cutting this short, actually, because I'm actually having great progress on it, but I'm also just realizing that I may actually prefer to take a step away from it at some point soon, because I'm trying to figure out where I want my... So I've got ink that I'm applying to some of the areas, and I'm trying to figure out which areas where I want the ink to end, basically. Like, do I want to ink this section or not? And I'm not actually sure, so... And like, which of the branches do I want to ink? There's some stepping away from this that I'm going to need to do. Thank you. Good girl, Amber. I have a sweet dog just curled up under my desk right now. She's very excited because I told her we're gonna go visit my sister. And her babies. They're not babies anymore. They're like full-grown children, but Amber met them as babies, and so forever they're babies. so this branch I'm pretty sure I do want some ink on, so I'm gonna start that. Get that really defined, and then I think I'll probably run around the edge, and then this can start just fading into the background. Just trying to figure out here. Okay, I need some more darks in here. In here, more darks in there. Top corner of that page is an option for an even more extensive PDF. Okay, cool. I will take a look at it. When I have a moment. Probably won't be today because whenever I'm done with this stream, I'm gonna go visit my sister. Download book. Cool. Cool, cool, sweet. Mom. How are you? I like how your palette looks a lot like your painting. Yeah, especially at the beginning, my messy palette, my messy painting tend to look the same. As I get more detailed. Sometimes they diverge, but this one's likely to always be a little bit of an abstract sort of look to it. So there will always be a similarity here. Yeah. I think I need to step away from this. Going a little cross-eyed. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And I will probably actually finish this sometime this week and post it on social media. Have a few of these little guys that I need to get made into cards ahead of the holiday season and my show in November. So I will, yep. Thanks, everyone. I will see you next week, or if not earlier. Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.